We now return to Making Sense with Rob Case. Continuing on, the nation of Israel's existence within this very age was birthed by a promise and protected by a promise. As long as the nation of Israel exists, God proves to the world that He exists, and that His will prevail. Another promise in the Bible that man could not derail is the promise of the entrance of Jesus Christ at the eastern gate in Jerusalem at His second coming. As Ezekiel chapter 43, verse 1, 2, and 4 states, "Then the man brought me to the gate facing east, and I saw the glory of the God of Israel coming from the east. His voice was like the roar of rushing waters, and the land was radiant with His glory. The glory of the Lord entered the temple through the gate facing east." This promise was delivered to the prophet Ezekiel in 574 BC, just 12 years after the Babylonians invaded Jerusalem. Jesus went through that gate in 33 AD on Palm Sunday, as people shouted, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest." Luke 19:38. The Jews rejected Jesus as their Messiah, but there was more written that pertained to the eastern gate in 574 BC. Ezekiel 44, 1-3 states, "Then the man brought me back to the outer gate of the sanctuary, the one facing east, and it was shut. The Lord said to me, 'This gate is to remain shut. It must not be opened. No one may enter through it. It is to remain shut because the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered through it. The prince himself is the only one who may sit inside the gateway to eat in the presence of the Lord. He is to enter by way of the portico of the gateway and go out the same way." This eastern gate served a purpose. Jesus Christ entered through this gate, fulfilling an Old Testament prophecy, but later the gate was sealed. Why? For the arrival of the Prince of Peace. So, how did Satan influence mankind in trying to prevent prophecy from taking place in this matter? Demolition. Even though the nation of Israel was now in existence and under Jewish sovereignty, the city of Jerusalem was not yet under Jewish control. In 1967, the neighboring nation of Jordan had control of the eastern part of the city of Jerusalem. Jordan's King Hussein ordered to have the gate removed in order to provide access to a hotel he wanted to build along the western wall of King Solomon's Temple Mount. On June 4, 1967, Jordanian workmen prepared for the demolition of the eastern gate. By 8 a.m. on the morning of June 5, 1967, the Arab-Israeli War broke out, preventing the demolition of the gate from taking place, and for the first time in 1,897 years, since the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70 by Titus and his Roman generals to June 5, 1967, the city of Jerusalem was once again placed in the hands of the Jews, fulfilling prophecy and accelerating the countdown for the end times. Now I'm going to move on to number 2 on the list. I'm going to go a little bit deeper in that. Prophecy reminds us that God is in control. God is sovereign over the entire world. No matter how progressively evil humanity gets and how much we destroy, God is in control and will only allow so much. God allows evil and waits for people who are affected by that evil to come to Him to escape it, because He is good. He is perfect. One of the reasons people come to Christ is because they are tired of the world the way it is. They're kind of sick and tired of the status quo, and they seek a significant change from it. Many times God allows evil to advance by simply not intervening, thus allowing mankind to fend for himself. Naturally, when mankind is left to his own devices, He creates consequences, and allowing those consequences to fully materialize is just one method of judgment God uses. Number 3, prophecy serves as an instrument for measuring the moral and immoral state of humanity. Everyone has heard the saying, "It is a sign of the times," or ask, "What is the world coming to?" Well, Bible prophecy reveals the final moral state of humanity just before Jesus Christ returns to earth. It shows that there is a final state, a certain culture and immoral environment that will determine a milestone conclusion that will lead mankind without God to destroying himself and destroying other people by the depravity of their own hearts. Prophecy is, in this form of context, a progressive map that says if people are acting in such a way as described, then you will know that the time is severely limited before Christ returns to earth. But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. Romans 1:28-32 picks up on this and adds to the mix what society will be like when it lets go of God. Furthermore, since they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, he gave them over to a depraved mind, to do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They are senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. Now, let me ask you a question. Are any of these traits recognizable in today's culture? In today's society? Prophecy determines an end point as to how people will behave in the last days. When we come back, we will examine the fourth and fifth functions that knowing Bible prophecy serves. Also, we will explore in further detail how Bible prophecy serves as a road that will lead to an endpoint for those who take the initiative to learn and know it now. What will happen at the end of this road? Will it have any significant value whatsoever? Also, the Bible reveals a supreme reality. When we return, we will explain in a nutshell what the Bible does in light of history and Bible prophecy. So be sure to be here for the conclusion of this presentation. We'll be right back. In order to survive, thrive, and know your surroundings, one must acquire a sense of direction, order, and set of principles to follow. At the Making Sense message boards, we not only do all of those things, but we make it interesting. Visit makingsense.proboards27.com to see what the deal is. And don't forget to listen to Making Sense with Rob Case right here on this channel. Write it down and make it a priority. It's the dawn of a new era, and we want you to be making sense. Visit makingsense.proboards27.com today.